The lights flickered on the bridge of the Zephyrian research ship, Astral Whisper, as another explosion shook the vessel. Captain Veltar held tight to his command chair, his 4 yellow eyes wide with fear as he watched his crew scramble to control the spreading fires. "Captain, the engine room is burning!" shouted Engineer Krixta through the communication system. Her voice was barely heard over the loud alarms that filled every corner of the ship. "The main power core is going to explode." Veltar looked around. His bridge. His 12 crew members were scientists, not fighters. They'd come to this empty part of space to study rocks and minerals on distant planets. None of them had expected to die today. The ship shook again, and this time the lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. The constant humming of the engine stopped, leaving only the quiet whisper of air recyclers and the occasional groan of metal under stress. "Shut down everything except life support," Veltar ordered. "Seal off the damaged areas." His crew worked quickly in the red emergency lighting. They closed blast doors and rerouted power systems. Within minutes, the immediate danger was over. But their real problems were just beginning. Communications Officer Drexina looked up from her station with bad news, written across her blue face. "Sir, the quantum communicator is destroyed. The explosion burned out all our long-range systems." Veltar felt his 2 hearts sink in his chest. Without quantum communication, they were invisible to the rest of the galaxy, their own people back. On Zephyr Prime would not even know they were missing for months. By then, it would be far too late. "What about backup systems?" he asked, though he already feared the answer. "Only the old radio transmitter works," Drexina replied quietly. "It can only send simple signals. The range is very short." Veltar stood up slowly from his chair. Round him, his crew waited for orders. Through the main window, he could see the stars, cold, distant, and silent. They were alone in the darkness, 3 parsecs from the nearest inhabited world. He thought about their situation. They had food for maybe 2 weeks if they were careful. Air recyclers were working at 60% power. The water purification system was damaged, but still running. It could survive for a while, but not long enough for help to find them. "Sir?" Drexina asked softly. Veltar made his decision. "Send out a distress signal on all radio frequencies. Use every language in our database. Someone, somewhere, might hear us." "But Captain," Science Officer Nixva spoke up, "radio signals are so slow. And who listens to such primitive communications anymore?" "Someone might," Veltar said firmly. "We have nothing else." Drexina nodded and began working at her station. Her 6 fingers moved quickly over the controls as she composed their desperate message. The signal would tell anyone listening that they were stranded, that their ship was damaged, and that they needed help. As the radio waves began spreading out into space at the speed of light. None of the Zephyrians knew that their call for help would reach a small blue and green planet where a young species had been pointing radio telescopes at the stars for decades. On Earth, in a small listening station in South Korea, a young technician named Jinwoo was monitoring the radio telescopes during his night shift. He had been listening to space static for 3 hours when something strange came through the speakers. It was not the usual cosmic background noise. It was organized. "Deliberate a signal." Jinwoo sat up straight in his chair and adjusted the controls. The signal was weak, but it was definitely artificial. As he listened, he realized it was repeating the same message over and over in different languages. Some he recognized from the Galactic language database that Earth had received from there. First contact with alien traders, his hand shook as he reached for the phone to call his supervisor. This was not just any alien signal. This was a distress call. Back on the Astral Whisper, Captain Veltar stood in his quarters, looking out at the stars through a small window. His crew was trying to stay busy, making repairs where they could, and rationing their food supplies. But he could see the fear in their eyes. Al knew their chances were very small. The ship had become quiet. Without the constant noise of the engines, every small sound seemed loud. The air recyclers hummed. Footsteps echoed in the corridors. Sometimes someone would laugh or speak loudly, but these sounds felt forced and unnatural. Veltar touched the communication panel on his wall. "Drexina, any response to our signal?" "Nothing yet, Captain. I will keep transmitting. He nodded, though she could not see him. Outside his window, the stars looked the same as they always had, beautiful but distant. He wondered if this would be the last time he saw them. In the engine room, Krixta was trying to repair what she could with limited supplies. The quantum drive was completely destroyed, but maybe she could get the backup engines working. It would not be enough to reach another star system, but it might keep them alive a little longer. The astral whisper continued to drift through space, sending its lonely radio signal into the darkness, while its crew tried to hope that somewhere, someone was listening. 3 days had passed since the astral whisper began sending its distress signal into the empty darkness of space. The Zephyrian crew had grown quiet and tired. Their emergency rations were already running low, and the damaged air recycling system made breathing harder with each passing hour. Captain Veltar sat in his command chair, staring at the same stars he had been watching for days. His crew moved around the bridge like ghosts, checking systems and making small repairs, but everyone knew they were just waiting for rescue that might never come. Engineer Krixta had managed to fix some of the backup power systems, giving them a few more days of life support. But the main engines were still dead, and without them, they were just a metal tomb drifting through the void. Captain Communications Officer Drexina called out suddenly, her voice breaking the heavy silence on the bridge. I am receiving something. Veltar's 4 eyes snapped to attention. His 2 hearts began beating faster. From the Zephyrian fleet, Drexina frowned as she listened to her equipment. No, sir. The signal is coming from a different direction, and the language. It sounds like Galactic Standard, but the accent is very strange. I've never heard anything like it. Put it through the speakers, Veltar ordered. Static filled the bridge as Drexina adjusted her controls. Then, through the noise, came a voice speaking slowly and carefully in heavily accented Galactic Standard. The pronunciation was rough, like someone learning the language from old recordings. Unknown vessel. This is Earth ship Endurance. We have received your distress signal with coordinates. Please do not worry. Help is coming to you now. The bridge became completely silent. Veltar blinked all 4 of his eyes, certain he had heard wrong. Earth, whispered Science Officer Nixva. But that is impossible. Earth is barely civilized. They do not even have proper space travel. Krixta pulled up their computer files on the human homeworld. A holographic display showed a small blue planet on the edge of known space. According to our records, humans only learned faster than light travel less than 100 years ago. They use primitive fusion engines and basic navigation systems. They are not even members of the Galactic Council. Veltar studied the data with growing confusion. Earth was thousands of light years from their current position. Even with the fastest ships in the galaxy, it would take weeks to reach them. How could these primitive humans possibly help? Sir Drexina interrupted. They are sending another message. The voice came through the speakers again, still speaking that strange version of Galactic Standard. Astral Whisper, we understand you have engine failure and limited life support. Please transmit your exact position and crew status. We're already on our way. Veltar looked around at his crew. They all wore the same expression of disbelief and confusion. How could the humans already be on their way? They'd only been transmitting for 3 days, Captain Nixva said quietly. This makes no sense. Even if they received our signal immediately, which is impossible at this distance, they could not reach us for months with their technology. Krixta nodded in agreement. Their ships are slow and inefficient. Our database shows they still use chemical rockets for most of their space travel. But Veltar remembered something from his training at the Zephyrian Space Academy. His instructors had always taught that desperate situations required open minds. Maybe there was something they did not know about these humans. Drexina, open a channel, he decided. Tell them our exact coordinates and current status, sir. Are you sure? Krixta asked. We know almost nothing about humans. They have a reputation for being violent and unpredictable. We are dying slowly in space, Veltar replied. What choice do we have? Drexina began transmitting their location and a detailed report of their engine failure and life support problems. Within minutes, they received another response from the Mysterious human ship, Astral Whisper. We have your coordinates and understand your situation. Maintain current position. Our estimated arrival time is 18 standard hours. Please conserve power and air. We have medical supplies and repair equipment ready. 18 hours. Veltar could hardly believe what he was hearing. The fastest Zephyrian rescue ships would need at least a week to reach them from the nearest base. How is this possible? Nixva asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. Krixta was running calculations on her computer. Even if they were already in this sector, which our long-range sensors never detected, their technology should not allow such speed. Maybe their technology is not as primitive as we thought, Veltar suggested. The crew spent the rest of the day checking and rechecking their position, making sure their distress beacon was still transmitting, and trying to prepare for the arrival of their unexpected rescuers. None of them could sleep. The idea that humans were coming to save them was too strange and wonderful to believe. Captain Drexina reported near the end of their day cycle, "I am detecting a ship approaching at high speed. The signature matches what the humans described."
Veltar
felt a mixture of hope and fear. In less than a day, they would meet their rescuers face to face. He had no idea what to expect from these mysterious humans who had somehow crossed impossible distances to answer their call for help. As the Astral Whisper continued its slow drift through space, its crew prepared to discover that sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places in the galaxy. Captain Hunwu stood on the bridge of the human rescue ship Endurance, looking at the alien vessel on his main screen. The Zephyrian ship was beautiful, with smooth curves and crystal-like sections that caught the light from nearby stars. Dark burn marks along its side told the story of their terrible accident. "Dr. Minho, are you ready for this?" Hyunwoo asked his chief medical officer. Minho checked his medical bag one more time, as ready as anyone can be for treating aliens. "We have never seen before. I studied what little information we have about Zephyrian bodies, but it is not much." Engineer Taman looked up from his repair tools and equipment. "Captain, their main engine is completely destroyed, but I can fix the hole in their ships. Wall, I will need to go outside in a spacesuit to patch it properly." "Dong Han, bring us close to their ship very carefully," Hanwoo told his pilot. "This is humanity's first rescue mission in deep space. We need to do this right." The docking process took much longer than usual. Alien ship's airlock was a completely different design from human ships. But Chief Engineer Taman, showing the problem-solving skills humans were known for, built an adapter using spare parts and clever engineering. When the airlock finally opened with a soft hiss, Captain Veltar stepped through to meet his rescuers. The humans were shorter than he had expected, walking on two legs like many species in the galaxy. But there was something in their eyes that surprised him, a warmth and kindness he had not anticipated. "Captain Veltar," Hyanwoo said in careful, Galactic Standard, holding out his hand in the human greeting gesture. "Welcome to the Endurance. We are here to help you." What happened next amazed the Zephyrian crew. Without asking questions or making demands, Engineer Taman immediately put on his spacesuit to go outside and repair their damaged hull. It was dangerous work. One mistake could send him floating into space forever. But he did it without hesitation. Dr. Minho went straight to work, treating the injured Zephyrian engineer who had been hurt in the explosion. Even though he had never seen alien anatomy before, he worked with gentle care and skill, adapting his human medical knowledge to help his patient. The human crew shared everything they had. They gave the aliens food from their own supplies, offered their sleeping quarters, and provided tools and materials for repairs. They asked for nothing in return. "Why are you doing this?" Captain Veltar finally asked Hanwoo as they watched Hanwoo work outside the ship, welding metal patches over. The hole in the alien hull. Hanwoo was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to explain. "On Earth, we have a saying. We are all in this together. Space is big and dangerous. When someone needs help, you help them. It is just what you do. But we are strangers," Veltar said. "We're not even the same species. You risked your lives to reach us. That does not matter," Hyanwoo replied simply. "You called for help. We heard you, so we came." Engineer Krixta found herself working beside Taman, learning how humans approached engineering problems. "Where is Zephyrian technology?" was precise and perfect. Human methods were creative and adaptable. Your people are natural problem solvers, she told him, as they fixed the power systems. You see answers where others see only difficulties. Taman smiled as he connected two different types of alien cables using a clever adapter he had made. My father always said humans are good at making broken things work again. We have had lots of practice. Dr. Minho was sharing medical techniques with the Zephyrian science team. Even though their bodies were very different, the human approach to emergency medicine proved surprisingly effective. Your treatment methods focus on adaptation, observed Science Officer Nixva. Most galactic medical procedures are rigid and standardized. Every patient is different, Minho explained, as he bandaged an alien arm with 6 joints instead of 2. Every emergency is unique. Sometimes the textbook answer is not the right answer. Captain Hyenwu spent hours talking with Veltar, sharing stories of human rescue operations throughout their history. Mountain climbers saved from deadly storms, sailors pulled from sinking ships, even enemy soldiers helped during wars. Your species regularly risks death for complete strangers, Veltar asked, genuinely puzzled by this concept. Not everyone, Hyenwu admitted honestly, but enough of us. We believe that helping others makes all of us stronger. The person you save today might be the one who saves others tomorrow. As the repairs continued, both crews learned from each other. The Zephyrians shared their advanced scientific knowledge, teaching the humans about quantum physics and stellar navigation. The humans demonstrated practical problem solving and the importance of helping others without expecting rewards. Communication. Officer Jin-A taught the aliens simple human songs. Drexina shared beautiful Zephyrian. It's poetry about distant stars and long journeys through space. By the time the astral whisper was fully repaired and ready to travel again, something important had changed between the two species. They were no longer just rescuer and rescued. They had become something much more valuable. They had become friends. Captain Huno, Veltar said as they prepared to leave for the nearest space station. I will remember this day for the rest of my life. Your people have shown us something we had forgotten. What is that? Hyenwu asked. That true civilization is not measured by how advanced your technology is, but by how willing you are to help those in need. The journey to the nearest Galactic Council station would take 7 days through hyperspace. The Endurance and the repaired Astral Whisper traveled together, their crews working side by side in ways that neither species had expected. Engineer Krixta found herself spending most of her time in the human ship's engine room with Taman. She watched in amazement as he adapted Zephyrian quantum theory to improve the Endurance's power systems. This should not work, she said, studying his modifications to their fusion reactor. You are combining two completely different technologies. Taman grinned as he adjusted the power flow. My grandfather used to fix old cars with parts from washing machines and radios. He taught me that if something works, it does not matter. If it looks strange, your people are natural engineers, Krixta observed. You see solutions where others see only problems. Maybe that is because we have always had to make do with less, Taman replied. When you do not have perfect tools, you learn to be creative. On the other side of the ship, Dr. Minho was teaching emergency medicine to the Zephyrian science team. Despite the obvious differences in their bodies, many of his techniques proved surprisingly useful. Your medical approach emphasizes quick thinking, Science Officer Nixva noted as she practiced human first aid methods. Most galactic medical standards are very rigid and follow strict rules. Rules are important, Minho agreed, but every patient is different. Every emergency is unique. Sometimes you have to throw out the textbook and use common sense. He showed them how to stop bleeding using pressure points, how to treat shock with simple positioning, and how to improvise medical devices from everyday objects. The aliens were fascinated by the human ability to adapt medical knowledge to unexpected situations. Captain Hyenwu spent many hours with Captain Veltar, sharing stories from Earth's history. He told him about firefighters who ran into burning buildings to save strangers, Coast Guard crews who battled storms to rescue sailors, and ordinary people who became heroes simply by helping others. Your species regularly risks everything for people you do not know? Veltar asked, still struggling to understand this concept. Not all of us, Hyen-Woo said honestly. But enough. We have a belief that helping others makes our whole species stronger. A person you rescue today might become a doctor who saves thousands tomorrow. Veltar shared stories from Zephyrian history, realized that most of them focused on scientific achievements and technological advances. His people had become so focused on progress that they had forgotten the importance of simply caring for each other. We used to be different, he admitted. Long ago, before we became an advanced civilization, Zephyrians helped each other survive on our harsh homeworld. But as we grew more sophisticated, we seemed to lose that spirit of cooperation. Communication Officer Jin-A organized what she called cultural exchange sessions in the ship's common area. She taught the Zephyrians simple human songs, starting with children's lullabies and folk music that told stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things in return. Communications Officer Drexina shared beautiful Zephyrian poetry that spoke of distant stars, long journeys through space, and the deep connections between all living beings. Her poems were sung rather than spoken, with haunting melodies that made even the humans feel homesick for planets they had never seen. Your poetry talks about unity, Janae observed after learning one of the songs, about how all beings in the universe are connected. It is an old belief, Drexina explained. We used to think that helping others was helping ourselves because we are all part of the same cosmic family. But we have forgotten this wisdom in our rush to become technologically advanced. Engineer Kriksta made an important discovery while working with human tools. Your equipment is designed to be repaired, she told Taman with surprise. Most advanced civilizations build things to be replaced when they break. Waste not, want not, Taman replied, using an old Earth saying. My people learned long ago that resources are precious. We fix things instead of throwing them away. This philosophy extended to everything the humans did. They conserved food and water, reused materials, and found creative ways to solve problems without wasting resources. The Zephyrians, who came from a culture of abundance, found this approach both practical and admirable. Dr. Minho noticed that the rescued Zephyrian crew members were recovering faster than expected. I think it is because they feel safe and cared for, he told Captain Hyen-Woo. Sometimes the best medicine is knowing that someone cares about you. As the days passed, the crews began to work together so naturally that it was hard to tell where one species ended and the other began. Humans and Zephyrians shared meals, told stories, and solved problems together. Language barriers disappeared as they found ways to communicate through gestures, drawings, and shared laughter. Captain Veltar said to Hyen-Woo on their 6th day together when we reached the station. I want to make an official report to the Galactic Council about what your people have done. That is not necessary, Hyen-Woo replied. We did what anyone would do. No, Veltar said firmly. That is exactly the problem. Not everyone would do what you did. Your people have something special, something the galaxy needs to know about. Yes. They approached the space station that would be their destination. Both crews realized that their time together was ending. But the friendship they had built and the lessons they had learned would last much longer than their journey through the stars. The news of humanity's first interstellar rescue spread through the Galactic Council networks faster than anyone expected. Captain Veltar's detailed report about the human crew reached the highest levels of government on dozens of worlds. And other alien species began talking about these mysterious humans from Earth. They had no reason to help us, Veltar testified. Before a special council committee on his homeworld of Zephyr Prime, no treaty between our peoples, no trade agreement, no promise of payment. They came simply because we asked for help. Admiral Zekthar of the Zephyrian High Command read the rescue reports with growing interest. The humans had arrived faster than even the most advanced Zephyrian ships could have managed. Using technology that their databases said was primitive and outdated, their ship specifications show inferior engines and basic computers, he told his staff officers. Yet they crossed space faster than our rescue fleet could have done. How is this possible? Their methods are very different from ours, explained. The Council's military advisor, a wise old alien who had studied many species, they focus on practical solutions rather than perfect theory. They value quick thinking over standardized procedures. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Hyenwu found himself at the center of attention he had never wanted. The rescue of the Astral Whisper had been monitored by listening stations throughout human space, and everyone was talking about what it meant for humanity's future. The Galactic Council has sent us a formal message, reported Admiral Soyoung from Earth Command. They want to begin official diplomatic talks. They are interested in discussing humanity's membership in the Council, based on one rescue mission, Hyenwu asked in surprise. Based on what that rescue mission showed them about human character, she replied with a smile. Captain, you and your crew have opened a door that has been closed to humanity for over a century. The rescue had impressed more than just the Zephyrians. Other alien species began reviewing their old files on Earth and its people, Altarians, who valued honor above all else, were impressed by the humans' willingness to risk their lives for strangers. The Centauran Trade Federation saw business opportunities with a species that valued cooperation and mutual aid. Even the proud Andromedans, who rarely paid attention to younger civilizations, took notice. Their scholars began studying human history and culture, fascinated by a species that had survived countless wars and disasters by helping each other. These humans are unusual, reported Andromedan Science Minister Kelvak to his council. They have advanced not through superior technology, but through their ability to work together and care for one another. Back on the space station, where the rescue had ended, Engineer Krixta was writing her own report about working with the human crew. Her words would eventually be read by engineers throughout the galaxy. Human engineering is not about perfection, she wrote. It is about adaptation and creativity. They solve problems by combining different ideas in ways that should not work, but somehow do. They taught me that the best solution is not always the most elegant one. Sometimes it is simply the one that works. Dr. Minho's medical techniques were also spreading through galactic medical networks. His approach of adapting treatment to each unique situation, rather than following rigid protocols, was being studied by alien doctors on dozens of worlds. 6 months after the rescue, the first official diplomatic ship from the Galactic Council entered Earth's solar system. The delegation was led by Captain Veltar himself, who had volunteered for the mission because he wanted to see the human homeworld for himself. The offer they brought was unprecedented in galactic history. Earth was being invited to join the Galactic Council not because of advanced technology or military power, but because of demonstrated humanitarian values. Captain Hyenwu, now promoted to Admiral and appointed as Earth's first space ambassador, stood on the observation deck of the orbital station as the alien ships approached his home planet. "Are you nervous?" asked his old friend Taman, who now served as Earth's chief diplomatic engineer. "Excited," Hyenwu replied, watching the beautiful blue and green world turn slowly below them. "We answered one distress call and it changed everything." The ceremony welcoming Earth into the Galactic Council was broadcast throughout known space. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as humans took their place among the stars, not as conquerors or traitors, but as helpers and friends. In his speech to the assembled delegates, Veltar explained why humanity deserved this honor. "The galaxy has many species with advanced technology," he said. "We have civilizations that can build worlds and harness the power of stars. But humanity has shown us something more valuable. They have shown us what it means to care for others without expecting anything in return." As Earth prepared for its new role in galactic affairs, the rescue of the Astral Whisper became more than just a single act of heroism. It became the foundation of a new understanding between species, built not on technological superiority or military strength, but on the simple recognition that in the vast darkness of space, no being should be left to drift alone. The galaxy had learned an important lesson that day. Sometimes the most advanced civilizations are not those with the best technology, but those that never forget the simple act of helping others in need. And humanity, despite their young age as a spacefaring species, had just proven they possessed the one quality that mattered most among the stars: the willingness to answer when someone called for help.